Hello students, welcome back to your science class. So students, in the previous class in this chapter, that is why do we fall ill, we were talking about that of the what are the causes and how we can treat that of the any kind of a disease occur to the person, as well as we have also understood that what are the principles on the basis of which we can prevent the causes of the disease here. So, let me tell you again the principles that we have seen. So, we have understood that the first one, we can reduce or stop the effect of the disease. And how we can reduce or stop the symptoms of students, so symptoms of the disease like fever is there, or pain is there. These all are mainly because of inflammation only, and this we can reduced by the we can reduce it by using analgesic or antipyretic drugs. That is really good for us to control that. Sometimes sneezing, coughing, loose motion, these all can be also reduced by the medication itself. Let us see what is there in the principle of prevention here given in a book. So, see here it is given that all of what we have talked about so far deal with how to get rid of infection in someone who has the disease. But there are three limitations of this approach of dealing with the infectious disease. The first is that once someone has disease, their body function are damaged and may never recover completely. The second is that treatment will take time, which means sometimes suffering from disease is likely to be bedridden for sometimes even if was given a proper treatment. The third is the person suffering from infectious disease can serve the source from where the infection may be, it may be spread to other person. And this lead to the multiplication of above difficulty, and it is because of such region that prevention of the disease is better than the cure. I have discussed about this, that why the prevention is necessary, students. So prevention is necessary because there will be the chances, there are three limitations or three shortcomings are there, that the person may become disease free, but the disease is in such a way that it can causes the malfunctioning of any body function, or because of this disease only their body functions may get damaged or may never recover completely. Okay, so we can say here that the body function of them, they do not work properly after a few time, and this happens, this problem occur because if it is a chronic disease, so it takes a lot of a time, students. So obviously due to which the chances is that there will be the malfunctioning of the body part of the body function, or even the body the body part may get permanently damaged here. Like if we take an example, limbs of a polio patient, you will find that they may be permanently impaired, although the person may recover from the polio virus, but the effect can be seen on the limb, and that's why the person is not able to walk properly. So we can say here that yes, it is important that we must take the precautions because it can damage our body part. Second treatment, students, you can see here, second is that treatment will take time, which means that someone's suffering from a disease is likely to be forbidden for some time, for bedridden for some time, even if we can give proper treatment. So here we can say that the second is that the person may remain bedridden for some time, even if we are giving a proper treatment to the person, and this will cost a lot of students. This will increases their problem in the as they have to give the treatment for a longer period of a time, or a complete bed rest will be there. So ultimately this will what, it will be a problem because it will be what, there will be a huge loss of money as well as time also. So this is the second issue when a person suffering from a chronic disease. And the third is that the person suffering from an infectious disease can serve as a source of from where the infection may spread to other person. Okay, so we can say here that the third problem is that a person, if he or she is suffering from any kind of a infectious disease, so there will be what, there will be any a source of infection, the person he himself become a source of infection. So the person can transfer or transmit the disease from him to a healthy person. So there will be a chances of a spread of the disease or multiplication of the disease from one person to the other. So this is what, these are some of the problem occur while treatment of the diseases, students. So it is because of this shortcomings, it is because of this limitations only, it is really important that we must take precautions. And it is also said that the precaution is much better than that of the cure. Okay, so precaution. Now see here, how can we prevent diseases? So we can prevent disease. There are general ways of preventing infection, mostly relate to preventing exposure. How can we prevent exposure to the infectious microbe? So if we look at the means of spreading, infections, we can get easy answer. Like for airborne microbe, we can prevent exposure by providing living conditions that are not overcrowded. Obviously, if an airborne disease is there, students, this can be get spread from one person to other person. So it will be much good that we can prevent exposure to such kind of a living condition, which is overcrowding. For waterborne diseases, waterborne microbes, we can prevent exposure by providing safe drinking water. We know that water is also a source of a disease, and the disease which is caused due to water, that can be prevented by giving the people the good or the safe drinking water. And this can be done. How we can make water a safe? We can make it by treatment, by killing the microbes which is present in it, that of the contamination, biological contamination or any kind of a contamination can be treated, and then if it will be provided, that will be a safe drinking water. Next one is for vector-borne infection. We have seen for airborne, for waterborne, and then for vector-borne infection, we can provide clean environment. And this would not, for example, allow mosquito breeding. In other words, public hygiene is one basic key to prevention of infectious diseases. So basically, vector-borne diseases that we can provide a clean environment, and example is like we should not allow the mosquito to breed. So we must avoid the collection of the water, because the stagnant water is a very good place for the mosquito to breed. So if we want to remove the mosquito to breed there at this stagnant water, so it will be much better that we must take care of that. Okay, so we can say public hygiene. In all these things, we have understood that public hygiene is really important, because that is the basic key for the prevention of an infectious disease. If we are aware, if we are hygienic, then absolutely the public hygiene will going to help us in decreasing the airborne microbes, in decreasing or protecting us from waterborne diseases, as well as from vector-borne diseases. Now see here, in addition to these issues that relate to the environment, there are some other general principles to prevent infectious disease. And to appreciate those principles, let us ask a question we have not looked at so far. Normally, we are faced with the infections every day, and if someone is suffering from cold and cough in the class, it is likely that the children sitting around will exposed to the infection. But all of them do not actually suffer from the disease. Why not? See, this is the question that okay, we are saying that we must prevent the airborne disease, we must keep our surroundings such hygienic that there will be no chances of the infection to cause disease, right? So hygienic surrounding is important, but here it is not limited to the external but to the internal conditions also. So for that, the question is that it happens that even not only in the school, in the everywhere, if you are at home also, students. If one of the member got cough or cold, or if you see in the school, if one of the student got cough and cold, then the other student who are sitting, most probably many one will get the infection, many one will get the cold or cough, but not for everyone. There are some students who did not get, even though they are exposed to the infection, they are not affected by the infection. Why is it so? Why is it so, student? It is because of our immune system. You see, immune system of our body, what is the role of it? It basically help in fighting off microbes. We have cells that are specialized in killing infecting microbes, and these cells go into action each time infecting microbes enter the body. If they are successful, we do not actually come down with any disease. The immune cells manage to kill off infection long before it assumes major proportion. As we noted earlier, if the number of infecting microbes is controlled, the manifestation of disease will be minor. In other words, becoming exposed to or infected with an infectious microbe does not necessarily mean developing a noticeable disease. See, it totally depends upon our immune system. If we are exposed to the infection, but there are some of the specialized cells present in our body which help in killing the microbes. So, suppose if we are surrounded with the microbes, or the microbes enter into the body also, but our cells are already active and they start killing the infecting microbes. If the number of microbes are in controlled, and the infections, the cells, the specialized cells are very active, so they will able, or they will able to manage to kill off the infectious agents or the infectious microbes, and yes, they can prevent from any kind of a infection. So, becoming exposed to that of the microbe does not mean that every time that we must means we will definitely get that of the disease. No, it totally depend upon our immune system. These days, students, you see, because of coronavirus also, the people, they used to suggest that we must make our immunity, we must make our immune system strong, we must increase our immunity, because immunity is what that can help us from any kind of a microbes which attack to our body. So yes, even though we are exposed to the microbes, but our immunity, it is helping us in reducing the infection. So one way of looking at severe infectious disease is that it represents a lack of success of immune system. The functioning of immune system, like any other system in our body, will not good if proper and sufficient nourishment and food is not available. And therefore, the second basic principle of prevention of infectious disease is availability of proper and sufficient food for everyone. You see, that is why it is said that you must increase your immunity. Now, the question arises, how? How can we increase the immunity? We can increase our immunity by taking proper diet, by taking sufficient food, by exercise. These all are what? These all are help us in increasing the immunity. Okay. So, the food, proper food, nutritious. When I said proper, it means nutritious food that will help in providing the sufficient amount of nutrient and nourishment that must be available in order to prevent any kind of a infectious disease to a person. So, availability of a proper and sufficient food for everyone is really important in order to increase the stamina of the immune system. So, there are general ways of preventing infection. What are the specific ways? And they relate to the peculiar property of the immune system that actually fight off microbial infection. Let us cite an example to try to understand this property. These days, there is no smallpox anywhere in our world. But as recently as 100 years ago, smallpox epidemics were not at all uncommon. In such an epidemic, people used to be very afraid of coming near someone suffering from disease, since they were afraid of catching the disease. However, there was one group of people who does not have this fear, and these people would provide nursing care for the victim of smallpox. This was a group of people who had smallpox earlier and survived it. Although with a lot of scaring, in other words, if you had smallpox once, there was no chance of suffering from it again. So, having the disease once was means of preventing subsequent attack of the same disease. I'll tell you what does that mean here, student. This happened because when the immune system first sees an infectious microbe, it responds against it and then remember it specifically. So the next time that peculiar microbe or a close relative enter the body, the immune system respond with even, uh, uh, it will be even greater vigor, and this eliminate the infection even more quickly than the first time. I'll tell you what does that mean here, student. Here it is said, see, we have understood that immune system is what? It is responsible for giving strength to our body. It is responsible for killing the microbes. Now, if we talk about the immune system, generally we all are surrounded with a lot of infections, but even then also our immune system help us in providing or protecting us from microbes. But you know that, students, our immune system, there it is having a very peculiar property, and that is, see, earlier when smallpox was at peak, at that time the people, they were really very afraid of the smallpox, and they do not want to come in contact with a person who is already suffering from the smallpox. Smallpox is very contagious disease, students, so that's why the people, they do not want to touch any person who is suffering from smallpox. But there was a group of people, there were people who are helping others, and there is no chance of them to suffering from the smallpox again. Here the question arises, why is it so? Why, if everyone is having the fear of getting the smallpox, why these people, they do not have the fear? One more thing common in these people, that they already had suffered from the smallpox. So is there is something that once a disease occur to a person, may not occur to the person again. Actually, that is very much true also. See what happened. There is some property in our immune system. Our immune system first sees the infectious microbe, then respond against it. First is when the immune system first sees an infectious microbe, it responds against it and then remembers specifically. So the next time that particular microbe or its close relative enter the body, the immune system responds with even greater vigor, and this eliminates the infection even more quickly for the first time around. So basically, when the immune system first see the microbes, the infectious microbe, it responds against it. Then remember it also. What kind of a microbe it was? That was remembered by the our immune system itself. What happened? Why is this so? It is because if the next time, if the same microbe will enter, this time our immune system will become ready to kill or to fight with it and eliminate the infection from the body more quickly than that of the first time. And this is what? This is the basis of the principle of immunization. Actually, it is the basis of the principle of vaccination that has come into our uses. So whenever this question is asked that what is the principle of immunization, so this is the principle that once the immune system recognizes the kind of a microbe which enter into the body, it will be killed by the second time when it entered into it. What happened? Why is it so? See, when a microbe enter into the body, at that time body try to, the cells which is present in it, try to understand it, that kind of a function they used to perform, and even the metabolism of the the microbe. So at the first time, what happened, the person may get suffer from it, but the second time the body already, the specialized cell already had recognized it. So the second time when the same microbe or the relative of the microbe enters, then this time body is ready to fight with it. Okay, and then it will easy for the body to respond against it. And this is what, this is the basis of the vaccination. You have heard about the vaccination that is given time to the children's. Why is this so? It is because in order to protect themselves, in order to provide the in order to make their immune system more active, their specialized cell more active. Now we can now see that as a general principle, we can fool the immune system into developing a memory for a particular infection by putting something that mimic the microbe we want to vaccinate against into the body. And this does not actually cause the disease, but this would prevent any subsequent exposure to the infecting microbe from turning into actual disease. So here it is saying that actually it does not, it is what we are actually fooling that of our immune system by, see, let me tell you what about the vaccination. What is vaccination? Basically in vaccination we used to inject dead microbes or less effective microbes or weak microbes we can say. So when we inject the weak microbes or dead microbes into the person's body, then when it enter into the body, now the cells they become active, they start recognizing it, and at the first time they recognize it and they try to understand that what kind of a cells, what kind of a microbe it is, and how they can work on it to prevent the effect of these microbes. While doing so, what happened, it will cause the fever to the person. It is because of this reason that when a person first time vaccinated got fever, it is because of the microbes which is entering into it. But the second time, why? So once we had given the vaccination to the person, so what happened? It already has recognized the kind of microbes in it. Now the next time when the actual strong microbes enter into the body, our body cells, our specialized cells are already ready for that. They are already knowing the family, they are already knowing about the microbes. So it will be easy for them to fight against it, the microbes. Okay, so we are actually fooling, that's why it is written that we can fool the immune system into developing a memory of a particular infection. So we are actually causing a we are making or developing a particular a memory in that of the immune system, so that when we vaccinate it, then it will be easy for them to recognize the kind of a microbes and to protect us from any kind of a disease that can enter into our body. Okay, so this is the vaccination. There are a lot of vaccines are now available, students, which is basically a help us in preventing the kind of any kind of a disease to us. And the vaccination, you have seen the small kids, basically tetanus is a very common kind of a vaccination that is given to the kids, and diphtheria is there, whooping cough is there, measles are there, student, polio, many other, a lot of different vaccinations that has been given to the people. And the reason for giving it, that it help in protecting the person from any kind of a disease to occur in the future. This forms the public health program of childhood immunization for preventing infectious disease. Of course, such a program can be useful only if such health measures are available to all children. Can you think of the reason why this should be so? Some hepatitis virus which causes jaundice are transmitted through water, and there is a vaccine for one of them, hepatitis A, in the market. But the majority of the children in many parts of the India are already immune to hepatitis A by the time they are 5 years old. This is because they are exposed to the virus through water. Under these circumstances, would you take the vaccine or not? See, here it is said that the children, they are very much they are already knowing about the about that of the water, the unhygienic water. It does not mean that we must consume the unhygienic water, but the kind of the water they used to drink, now their body is already knew about it, so they already had developed a virus in it. So there is no need of the vaccination for such kind of a water. Yes, they are knowing, their body is already knowing. Although there are a lot of disease are there whose infection has been given to the patient in order to protect it from any kind of a disease. Let me tell you what is going on here. So it is what it is, immunization only. So traditional Indian and Chinese medicinal system sometimes deliberately rub the skin crust from smallpox victim into the skin of healthy people, and they thus hope to induce a mild form of smallpox that would create resistance against disease. Famously, 2 centuries ago, an English physician, Edward Jenner, he realized that milkmaid who had cowpox did not get smallpox even during the epidemics, and cowpox is a very mild disease. Jenner tried deliberately giving cowpox to people and found that there were now resistance to smallpox, and this was because the smallpox virus is now closely related to cowpox virus, and cow is called vacca in Latin and cowpox is vaccinia. From these roots the word vaccination has come into our stage. Actually here it is saying that it was Edward Jenner who had first seen that the cow which is having the cowpox, and the people those who are working on it, they did not get the smallpox. So what he has done, he has taken the cowpox from the cow and injected that to the other person, and yes, he find out that the person who got injected, they got they were very less chances of them to get smallpox. It means they become resistant to the smallpox, and this is how the vaccination term came. And actually cow is vacca and in Latin cowpox means vaccinia, and that's why this vaccination term came. So I hope you have understood the immunization as well as that of the vaccination also. So this is the end of the chapter of why do we fall ill.